Black Friday is here, which means your YouTube feed is being carpet-bombed with sponsored gift guides full of crappy products nobody asked for. I'm not gonna pretend that this video isn't also full of tech. I mean, look around me, but the difference? I actually bought the stuff with my own money, I actually use it, and I'm betting you haven't heard of nearly all of it. These are not the same recycled products that every other tech channel is hawking. This is the weird, niche, genuinely useful stuff the geeks like you and I actually want. The links to everything are down in the description below, so grab your Coca-Cola Zero Holiday Creamy Vanilla, and let's get into it. Not a sponsor. You love your Kindle, I love my Kobo, but like a book, we only use them when we decide to sit down and read. No longer. This tiny little guy, the Xteink X4, is a truly pocketable 4.3-inch e-ink screen attached to an ultralight 2.5-ounce plastic shell that's not only easy to hold, but even snaps to the back of your phone thanks to built-in MagSafe. Now, unfortunately, if you're on the cutting edge with an iPhone 17 Pro or iPhone Air, it either won't snap on at all or will only do so upside down, but that's okay because I just toss it in my left pocket, and I find myself reaching for it often to read in short spurts, in the bathroom, when waiting in line, basically where I was previously doom scrolling away on social media. The device runs a super bare bones OS. This is certainly no Kindle. It's a bit hokey, but for the purpose of actually reading, it's great. You do need to take your EPUB files and convert them with Calibre before being sideloaded. Fonts have to be pre-compiled and transferred over manually, but once you've done all that, once you're set up, you're good. Hardware buttons on both the side and front handle navigation since there's no touchscreen, but the panel has great contrast and refreshes insanely quickly without much ghosting. It's only 220 ppi and it lacks a front light, but for as little as $50, there's not much room to complain. Now you can buy these off of AliExpress, though they will ship with Chinese firmware that's a bit difficult to swap for the Western version, which is completely different. It can be done thanks to a huge community building tools for this thing, but it's probably easier to just buy from the official site for a bit more money, but with proper firmware and support out of the box. I'm reading a lot more lately, and it's all thanks to this. As a tail-end millennial, I got into record collecting in the early 2010s to experience a nostalgia that, frankly, I never had. But guess what? That's for the olds now. Kids these days are bringing back cassettes and CDs. Give them a few more years and they'll rediscover the FM radio too. But you can get ahead of the curve and start today. The FiiO RR11 is a portable FM tuner and amplifier. I know what this sounds like. Wait, it's cool. Made from aluminum with metal analog knobs for volume and tuning, it feels legitimately premium. You can plug in the included headphones, which are frankly unexceptional, or you can bring your own, and you're instantly transported to another era. And surprisingly, many stations sound great. Like, no, it's not hi-fi, but it sounds way better than the radio in your car or anywhere else I've ever heard the radio. Retro LEDs indicate channel strength, and having to manually scrub through stations without overshooting them is honestly a lot of fun. There's something satisfying about the hunt. And it turns out they still play good music on there. But it's not just a radio. Using the included but proprietary USB-C cable, you can plug the device into your phone or laptop and turn it into a rather nice sounding external DAC and amp combo to drive your headphones as an entry-level hi-fi. FM is back on the menu, boys, and at this price, I think you've got to try it. All right, time to address the elephant in the room, or rather, the dust bunnies under your couch, because today's sponsor, Roborock, has their best sale of the year ongoing to help get your house spick and span. First up, the Qrevo CurvX. This is one of Roborock's most premium robots, and it's packed with powerful features. The dual anti-tangle system uses counter-rotating bristles to feed hair straight into the suction inlet. No more spending your Sunday afternoon cutting hair out of a brush roller. It's also got 22,000 pascals of suction, which is frankly absurd, and an 80 Celsius mop wash system that removes over 99.99% of bacteria from the mop pads. So you've always got clean, sanitized pads instead of just smearing dirt around. But here's the cool part. The LiDAR module itself retracts, dropping the whole thing down to just over 3 inches tall. It gets under furniture that no other vacuum can reach, spaces you'd normally need to move a couch to access, and it can stand up like the entire chassis lifts to clear certain thresholds. Using both LiDAR and vision navigation, it navigates in the dark and can identify up to 108 objects, and if that's overkill for you, well, you should check out the Qrevo Edge S5A. It has the same anti-tangle tech and the same FlexiArm system that extends the side brush and mop into the corners found on the Qrevo CurvX, but while offering 18,500 pascal of suction and using structured light instead of RGB cameras for obstacle avoidance, but while still delivering fantastic performance. Both devices support Matter, Apple Watch apps, and more features that I just don't have time to cover here. If you'd rather control the stick vacuum, the F25 GT is a wet dry vac that lays completely flat to get under furniture. It's got this jaw scraper design with dual scrapers. One combs out hair and the other squeezes dirty water from the roller, so you're not just smearing messes around. It high temperature self-washes and dries quietly in 30 minutes. All three of these vacuums are on sale for Black Friday with links found in the description below. How about some rapid-fire stocking stuffers you can get on the cheap? First up, cable ties that don't suck. They're silicone and magnetic, which makes them ultra strong, but still easy to add and remove to things. And people on Amazon are using them for literally anything you can think of. They are awesome. Next, a shard from Gerber. This 7-in-1 multi-tool offers each feature for less than $1. You've got a Phillips screwdriver, pry bar, bottle opener, flathead drivers, wire stripper, nail puller, and a hole to attach it to your keyring. I guess that one's a freebie. It's TSA approved, mighty lightweight, and just screams daddy. Now, speaking of daddy, chalk shot. This little canister lets you shoot a load of neon chalk up to 2 inches away, perfect for marking up any surface where you need to drill a hole, but where a pencil, marker, or center punch just can't reach. Aim, fire, done. So you're into neon, huh? Well, you'll love Sudoku, this $13 RGBY electronic game that lets you play Sudoku, but without those nerdy numbers. It's only a 4x4 grid, and subsequently designed for players just age 8 and up. But my dumb little monkey brain still struggled a lot with sudden death mode that is timed and permits 0 mistakes, and that was just on the medium difficulty levels. There are 219 levels in total, and most of them are hard and extreme rated. With vibrant lights, it's a pocketable rave, but educational. Not all cables are made equal, not remotely, but that doesn't mean that $20 for a single cable is easy to stomach. So don't think, just buy, because this ECOFLOW 6-foot USB-C PD 3.1 cable can push 240 watts to all of your devices. Yeah, no, that's not that special, but the ultra-flexible nylon jacket with what I can only presume is silicone underneath sure is. This thing feels so good. It doesn't tangle, and it has super tight-fitting metal connectors. And it also supports data at, USB 2 speed. So it's literally only good for charging fast and feeling nice, but boy, does it sure charge fast. Damn, it's literally only good for charging fast and feeling nice, but boy, does it sure charge fast and feel nice. My relationship with mini PCs goes, well, all the way back to the original Intel NUC. These devices are tons of fun, but they're honestly a pretty bad value. And they're a horrible value right now because of DDR5 pricing being the way that it is. I mean, a $480 M4 Mac Mini will literally murder any PC in the same price galaxy, universe, regardless of form factor. But reality is reality, and my 9-year-old 7th gen Intel chip that I'm using in a mini ITX build to run Home Assistant and Scripted and AdGuard Home, frankly just uses a ton of energy. It lacks hardware-accelerated features that even cheap mini PCs have today, and of course, well, the power supply's starting to crap out, and I don't want to take it apart. So I picked up an Intel N150 Mini PC. Now, this is not the latest and certainly not the greatest chip out there, but it does have Intel QuickSync, AV1 decoding, and other modern niceties. The system I got came with 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM and a 512 gig SSD, but for just $150. The whole thing draws just 15 watts under load and around 6 watts at idle, meaning that this will cost me less than $10 a year to run 24/7. I installed Proxmox using helper scripts and leaned frankly pretty heavily on Google Gemini to get everything migrated over, but I did so in less than an hour. And I'm not even getting close to the limits of this thing. I mean, I could run Plex, console emulators, and more. Sky's the limit. Here's the thing. All these mini PCs, they're basically the same. So just buy the cheapest one you can find with the chip configuration you want, but be warned, it is easy to window shop your way into spending nearly what a Mac Mini costs on something significantly worse. So just get the most cheapo option you can out there, and it'll probably be plenty for whatever you need to do. The only thing that sucks more than paying for overpriced tool batteries is buying their chargers, especially the higher end ones that don't take 2 hours. This battery hat for Ryobi batteries turns your tool batteries into bona fide power banks, delivering up to 145 watts over 2 USB-C outputs to charge your laptop, phone, and more. And it also accepts 100 watts of USB-C PD input for fast charging the battery itself. It's got a gorgeous 1-inch OLED display that provides real-time power draw information and a surprising number of configurable options, and you can even manually roll change the primary USB-C port to input, output, or auto-negotiate, which is a rare feature even on high-end power banks. It monitors temperature, over-discharge, and a whole lot more to protect the battery itself, while also offering a built-in tool light and an insanely high-quality clear shell so you can see all of the electronics inside. For $25, this thing is nuts. And spend a bit more, and you can pull even more wattage. Now, While this brand only makes hats for Ryobi batteries, another highly regarded seller on AliExpress does make a similar line for Makita, Dewalt, and Milwaukee batteries too. If you've already got tool batteries lying around, this is a no-brainer accessory. You might have noticed by now that I'm a watch guy, but not like a Rolex guy. I'm into quirky, fun watches that are, as we say in the community, horologically significant. And few watches are more iconic than the $25 Casio F91, the best-selling wristwatch of all time. It even has an entire Wikipedia section dedicated to its use in... Well, now you can turn this bombastic classic into a DIY smartwatch thanks to OliWatch. With their replacement PCB in about 10 minutes of your time, you can transform your humble watch into something much more powerful than Casio ever intended it to be. It's got a step counter that's within 2% of an Apple Watch in accuracy, which is genuinely impressive. It's got heart rate measurement, which will soon sync to Apple Health and Google Fit, a tally counter, RGB LCD, flashlight, even games. Now, basic notifications from your phone are said to be coming this spring. The info is always going to be limited by the segmented display, but it'll be nice, and even more features are said to be on the way as well with future updates. The community behind it is really small, but passionate, excited to breathe new life into an absolute icon. Things will only get better. Sometimes, pen and paper just hits different. I tried digital notebooks this year, the Remarkable, the Supernote. People love them, but I couldn't even make a video about them because I felt like they were just slower, worse versions of the real thing. This is analog tech, man, no transistors in sight. And if you think that a pen and paper is not tech, oh buddy, sit down, shut up and listen. I like the Kokuyo campus notebooks. They're made in Japan. The paper is silky smooth, so your pen just glides on top. And their attention to detail at the factory is insane. And this is a tech-forward factory. I'll link a very interesting tour below. But the price of these things, despite the manufacturing complexity, is really reasonable. And the soft binding ring is comfortable not just for lefties, but for righties that need a good squish. Now, my current budget pen of choice is the rOtring 600. With an all-aluminum body and hexagonal barrel, the pen is weighty, but it's comfortable. The problem is, the way that it comes, even from Japan, sucks. The default ink cartridge is scratchy junk, and the pen tip wobbles when you write, making the whole thing sound clunky. So, away we mod. The gold standard in affordable Parker-style refills is the Mitsubishi Uni Jetstream. It's about $7. Ink flows out of this thing like a dream, and the ball is nice and smooth. But here's the trade secret to get it perfect. Grab a 6x2mm O-ring and put it at the end of your refill, which will completely eliminate any tip wobble. Now, for less than $35, you have a writing setup that even a pen snob would respect. And trust me, this is about the best $35 gift you can give. People love it, especially girls, because quality stationery is not something that people often buy themselves, but everyone appreciates. Disclosure alert, turn on the sirens. Look, Bambu Lab is a past channel sponsor, but they're not paying me to say how great their A1 Mini is. I'm just saying it because it's true. They don't even know this is gonna be in the video. Look, if you haven't gotten into 3D printing yet, what are you doing? Like, this thing is $199, and it is an Apple product in the sense that you just load it up, you open an app, you find a model, and you push print. That's it. You don't need to know how to do 3D printers. Now, I know what you're thinking. Like, I don't want to fill up my bedroom with waifu statues. I get you. That ain't my scene either, and that's what a lot of 3D printing is. But you can print so many other useful parts and tools that other people have already designed to have your same problems that you're experiencing. I've printed car parts and tool organizers, home decor, literally parts of my home, tech mods, kitchen gadgets. I've saved myself so much money that you're basically losing money if you don't own a 3D printer in the year of our Lord 2025. And it's about to be 2026. The A1 Mini is small, but it's mighty. Print quality is exceptional, and the optional AMS supports multicolor prints as well. And oh, it's just $200. $200! Just buy one. When the Macintosh 128K arrived in 1984, it launched a revolution. That compact all-in-one design with its 9-inch black and white display became an instant icon of the computer age. And guess what? I'm bringing that legacy back, baby. After 2 years, I am finally launching my new brand, Copeland Supply. And this is our first product, an artisan keycap that faithfully recreates that iconic machine. Each SA cap is 3D printed using SLA resin, is then hand-painted to capture the original subtle details, then resin cast for a glossy, durable finish. And it includes a custom platinum-colored display stand and storage case with a laser-cut acrylic window, all designed and produced in-house at Snazzy Labs here in Utah. Only 128 of these units will ever be made, so act now if you want one. But if you want first dibs on other future products we have coming, hats, minimalist desk pads, G3 keycaps, and more, you can pre-reserve for free at Copeland Supply starting now. I've been doing these gift guides for a few years now, and every year I put in a handheld emulator because they keep just getting better and better. The Mangmi Air X is nuts. At just $90, it offers a beautiful 1080p IPS touchscreen, a Snapdragon 662, and Android 14. It charges at 15 watts over USB-C, which I know doesn't sound that amazing, but all these cheaper handhelds, you had to use USB-A to USB-C and a 5-volt like dummy charge. It was a nightmare. That's fixed. And the battery itself lasts over 5 to 6 hours while playing effectively every home console through the PS1 and Dreamcast eras, plus handhelds through the PSP and 3DS. And because it's Android, you can play native Android games, you can stream locally from your PC, or even use something like GeForce Now over the web. Hand feel is great with D-pad focused controls, though it does offer dual Hall effect joysticks in addition to Hall effect triggers and even a gyroscope. And while it's just a tiny bit too big to pocket, it travels nicely and plays comfortably over long sessions thanks to its beefier hand grips. It performs and presents like something that is way more expensive than it actually is, making this a great cheap entry point into this hobby if you haven't jumped in already. $90. Mosquitoes may be important pollinators, but unlike bees, they are not cute, and I hate them. And look at me, I'm obviously delicious. So I suffer no shortage of bites during summer nights, and I found something to help that sounds like a scam, but is 100% legit, and of course, it's made by the Germans. It's called Heat It, and how it works is in its name. You see, insect bites, they trigger an itchy histamine reaction, and this device, which is basically a smartphone-controlled frying pan, neutralizes that itchy response with a rapid jolt of intense heat, up to 127 Fahrenheit, just shy of an actual burn. And this sharp thermal shock overwhelms your nerve pathways, effectively short-circuiting the itch signal, which halts the histamine release. It honestly stings for a few seconds because you're effectively burning yourself, but that brief moment of controlled pain stops the itch. Apparently, 8 out of 10 people report that the itch goes away entirely. Not so for me, but it does make it so that I can go hours forgetting I even had a bite in the first place before the itch returns. It works on adults and kids alike, is heavily discounted for Black Friday, comes in Lightning and USB-C variants, and while it's best to just avoid the bite in the first place, well, this is the next best thing. For years, I only bought big monster high-capacity power banks, thinking that smaller ones were stupid, but turns out I was stupid because they're awesome and you can get some crazy tiny power banks now. But here's the thing. Batteries are complex chemical reactors rather than just simple fuel tanks. That 10,000 milliamp hour number that you see on Amazon is usually just a lie. And if it's not a lie, it's at least disguising a critical battle between energy density and thermal efficiency. You see, if a battery is too small to shed its heat, it just wastes energy and throttle speed, creating vastly different results from other battery banks with the same theoretical capacity. The $60 Nitecore NB10000 illustrates this painfully. It's an ultralight pouch cell marvel, the thinnest and lightest option available on the market, but it acts like a fragile sprinter. It rapidly overheats and throttles its 22.5 watt theoretical output down to a crawling 9 watts once warm, which happens quickly. And it only delivers about 30 watt hours of usable energy, a mid-70s efficiency. Not great. The Anker Nano 10K is a similar premium disappointment, a common trend from Anker as of late, offering a fantastic retractable cable and screen, a good-looking package, but just failing to sustain its advertised 45 watts for more than about 10 minutes before heat crushes it down to about 20 watts. Recharging both of these batteries is really slow too, thanks to those same thermal limitations. Oh, and you turn the tiny Anker on its side and it doesn't look so tiny anymore. On the chaotic budget end, the viral $20 Haribo Gummy Bear Bank took the internet by storm, not just because Gummy Bear Power Bank, but because its specs sound impossible. It's tiny, super low weight, just $20, all while having 31 watt hours of usable capacity, which it does. It surprisingly delivers on those numbers with a reliable 15 watt output, but how? By cutting safety corners and almost certainly cell longevity. Not to mention the built-in cable is inferior to Anker's. You can't recharge the bank using that same cable. It has to be done via the port. And most offensively, the Gummy Bear is super hard. It's not presently available on Amazon and probably won't return, for good reason. The real winner, the one you want, is the INIU P50, which manages its thermals well enough to reliably output 30 watts with its non-retractable lanyard-style cable. It's affordable, smaller than the Anker, and sits comfortably between the ultralight failures and the final outlier, the CUKTECH 10. Yeah, you heard that right. Well, apparently the company is named after electronics pioneer Slobodan Čuk, so it's technically CUKTECH, but let's be honest, that's not as funny. The CUKTECH is like a Cybertruck. It's an unnecessarily large brick filled with cylindrical cells. This makes it enormous compared to the others, especially given that it has the same 31 watt-hours usable. But brute force physics wins here because it has the thermal mass and robust cell chemistry to basically make heat no threat at all. It can blast out 90 plus watts from 100% capacity all the way down to 0, and it recharges just as fast. It is unnecessarily large and powerful for topping off a phone, but if you need to power a laptop or a tablet without throttling and you don't need enormous capacity, this is one that won't break a sweat. Really, about the only one on the whole market. I was a high school senior when the Xbox Kinect came out, so I thought it was a little too cool for it. But now, as a dad, I see its spiritual successor as everything that the Kinect should have been. This is the NEX Playground, a Rubik's Cube-sized console with a single camera lens that uses an NPU and machine learning instead of a complex sensor array to track movement. And it works really well, like way better than I think the Kinect ever did, though it does still fall short of true motion tracking like you'd get in VR. Now, it doesn't have much compute, and the compute that exists is allocated to the NPU, so the games are very smartphone-like in their presentation, but even still, they're fun. 5 games come with the console, though I will admit the Beat Saber clone is really the only one that pulled me in, thanks to good licensed music and varied movements that help make up for the tracking shortcomings. You're going to want to pay $90 a year to access the full 45-game catalog that's continually adding new titles, and I get it. That's yet another subscription where you don't keep the titles if you stop paying. But compared to my parents, who spent several $100s on individual Kinect titles that we quickly grew bored with, $90 a year for such a huge catalog isn't terrible. The games range from super simple single-player stuff that even a young toddler could play, to party game fun for the whole family, and even fitness programs specifically targeted for adults. Ultimately, the target market is kids, and the kids will love this thing. But at its $199 Black Friday price, it's way more fun even as an adult than I ever expected it to be, and we will keep playing it with friends and family until my 10-month-old is ready to whack some moles on her own. If you're a gamer tired of mediocre controllers, the FLYDIGI Vader 4 Pro is the answer. It's packed with features that you would normally find only on $150 and up controllers, but for just 55 bones. The star of the show is adjustable stick tension. You can physically rotate a dial around each joystick to make them stiffer for precise aiming and shooters, or looser for racing games, which is incredibly rare at this price point. Build quality also feels shockingly premium, way better than something like a Sony DualSense, and it's nicely suited to larger hands as well. Of course, because it's a new controller, it uses Hall effect sensors, which are all the hotness on both the sticks and the triggers, meaning magnets instead of physical contact for long-lasting durability. But what is unusual and quite enjoyable is the face buttons that use a mechanical micro switch. Think like the Switch Pro controller, but even clickier. I really like these. And the triggers, well, they have a physical toggle for either a smooth full pull like you'd be used to, or instant mouse click actuation. It also has the only rear buttons I've ever wanted to use, with perfect placement and easy middle finger access. Using the included dongle, it pulls at 1000 Hz, making it absurdly responsive with basically no latency, and of course that means it's PC first, but it also works with mobile devices and Nintendo Switch via Bluetooth. Unfortunately, Xbox and PlayStation are not supported, and the software for programming it is frankly pretty clunky and confusing, but once that's done, for less than $60, this thing is an absolute steal. This is no little brother Mad Catz controller. Well, that's all for this year, but there are dozens more products that are also on sale this holiday season that I've talked about in my prior gift guides. Click on this playlist to catch up on episodes you may have missed. I love you, and I hope you enjoy many weeks of holiday cheer. Stay snazzy. Sponsored by Coca-Cola.